The theme this month was not by accident. It's Nature is Sacred. And on the cover of the Science of Mind magazine for August, nature, perfect. And Dr. Jim Van Cleve has an article in here on page 99, which is called The Sacredness of Nature. Thus, the title for the month, Nature is Sacred. And it brought back to mind last night, was in 2011, that Deanna, our daughter, and I had a book published, 2011, called The Green Intention, Living in Sustainable Joy. It wasn't supposed to be called The Green Intention, but that's what the publisher wanted. He wanted a book about sustainable living, a green life. But to me, living a green life can be a little overwhelming for people. We called it Harmonizing the Clash between the physical and the spiritual. And it still has a lot of great things in the book, but I didn't like it as much as I did the title. Rescue me. It's got red. Okay, here. Well, I don't want to take it off. I'll use. Everybody likes this microphone. Look at, I can sort of do that today. This naughty little microphone that keeps doing funny things. But anyway, I looked in the book, and Deanna is a permaculture. She has a master's in permaculture and sustainable living. So she has principles of nature. And of course, I'm in the spiritual business, and I have spiritual principles. So I looked in the book it came to mind last night, and I looked at what is permaculture. And she wrote, permaculture is a design science that is based in the observation of nature. One of the best principles of permaculture is that it takes challenges and transforms them into solutions. Using natural systems as models to design our lives has been done for a long time by our ancestors. Indigenous cultures naturally embodied these concepts for centuries and continue to do so today. Permaculture design teaches us. Now listen to this and tell me if it isn't. We've got the nature, the physical nature of nature, and then our spiritually physical nature. And tell me if these don't match both. Nature works. Nature is full of solutions, and so are we. Nature is always abundant, and we can be too. There is no such thing as waste. Nothing disappears. Stability comes from diversity and strength of relationships, which we all understand. Everything gardens, and nature is constantly evolving and changing. So this week's theme in Nature is Sacred is fertile soil. And I might say being the fertile soil. Because in life, of course, in nature, in a physical nature, things grow in fertile soil where there's a balance of nutrients and water and room to grow, and it's just abundantly available for a little seed. And if you think about a little seed and the innate wisdom it has in that seed to know what it's going to become and what it's going to grow into. We see the flower or the fruit tree or the oak tree or the bushes, and we forget that inherent wisdom that brought it here. That same inherent wisdom is in us. Inside of us, every one of us is a magnificent being filled with unconditional love, unlimited potential, and infinite creativity. That's here that wants to grow in us. So today when we talk about being fertile soil, it's how do we activate that wisdom, that knowledge that's within us? What are the nutrients? What's the flow that's going to get us into that place that we can grow, as I said in the beginning, into the best version of ourselves? Are you curious? Me too, because sometimes it's a stumper, isn't it? Sometimes we don't really know, well, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to grow? What am I supposed to become to be the best version of ourselves? But what we do know is there's that urge in us that wants to become. Now, Jesus has a great parable, and he talks about the journey of the seed. And of course, parables are stories that meet us where we are. And they were Jesus' way of teaching a spiritual truth to a crowd of many different kind of believers. So the more deeply you listen, the deeper understanding you'll get. So this is the story, the parable of the sower and the seed. Now the seed in Jesus' story, which not everybody will get, but we do, is the Word of God, the truth that we know, the truth of oneness and peace and love and beauty, and all the words we know are the truth, and those are the seeds. The sower are just those who speak the spiritual truth. Could be the mystics, the prophets, Jesus. Those are speak the truth. And the ground on which the seed falls is our main theme for today. And the ground signifies our heart. It's our heart. And so today, our challenge and our question is to be, what condition is our heart in that we can allow the truth to grow? So I want to read you the parable. And as I do this, I want you to think, because it talks about the path, the rock, the thorns, and the fertile soil. So just give yourself a little check of how your heart is doing being the fertile soil. A sower went out to sow his seed. He sowed, and some seed fell along the path that was trodden under so much walking, solid. And the birds devoured it because it had no place to grow. Some fell on the rock, and as it grew up, it withered away because it had no moisture. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew stronger than the seeds, and they were choked and could not grow. But some fell onto that fertile soil, the soil we talked about that welcomes growth, that wants to take that inherent knowing and grow it and let it become. And again, not only did the seed grow, but it grew 100-fold. It kept growing and giving and sharing and becoming. And Jesus said, "He who has ears, hear. Let him hear." Let him hear so he can grow from this story and find out what's going on in my heart right now. And as Sharon and I talked about, the grief group is about whatever's going on in people's lives right now, because we need support. We've been through a crazy time in life, and we're here to support one another. So let me talk about the solidified, toughened soil where there was no place for the seed to go. It reminded me of something that Albert Einstein said. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And that's what happens with this solidified soil. It's when we get into habitual living and we're not willing to do new things, to try new things, to expand out of our comfort zone. And there's no place for that beautiful seed of magnificence to grow within us because we're doing the same thing. And the second place was the rock. And this is like when we're really holding on to what we believe is true, right? This is the way, the only way. And there's no place really for new ideas. There's no place for anything more to grow or connection or to become. And you hear something and go, oh, that's good, but no, I'm going back to my way. We don't open to something more. So that's the rock. And then the thorny soil, that's temptation. That's when we serve two masters, when we get really comfortable in our worldly living and forget there's much more. What I didn't tell you is the three major tenets or principles of permaculture are caring for the earth, that would be nurturing all of life, caring for other people, all people, and sharing fairly. And so that kind of fits here in the seeds. And then there's the soil that is fertile and accepts the seed and wants it to grow. So if we're going to become that magnificent, amazing being that is alive, alert, enthusiastic, feels good, looks good, is good, wants to grow, wants to connect, wants to become, we're going to have to pull those weeds of destruction. What's your weed? What is the weed? I think you mentioned it, Madeline. Is it anger, resentment, fear, doubt, a lack of faith? I mean, bad things happen to good people, not because people are bad. Life wants us to grow and to learn and to become something more. So we have to think about, where's my heart? The reason we talk about the heart as being the ground is God speaks to the heart. And if we can clear the path away, I know we're seeking peace and we're seeking purity and beauty and connection. We can find it, but we've got to clear the path between the head and the heart. And as Madeline mentioned, there's a cause and effect that happens. We can see the flower, but behind everything physical, there is an invisible cause. There's a mind that surrounds us that wants us to grow, but if we're so filled with limitation and lack and destruction of the things that are good, we're not going to get there. We're not going to be open to it. So we've got to figure out, where is my heart right now? And what am I invited to do to open to something better? My dear buddy Rumi has a comment on this too. He said, if we're talking about the fertile soil, he said the ground's generosity, that would be the fertile soil, takes in our compost. That's all the stuff about us that maybe is a little rotten. And grows beauty. Grows beauty. Try to be more like the ground. Give back better. As a rough clod returns as an ear of corn, a barley on this sleek handful of oats. Let's give back better. Don't you love Rumi? He always tells the truth. I like it. He's one of those truth tellers. He's sowing seeds. So how we do that, in Proverbs, it says, as a person thinks in their own heart, so are they. Ernest Holmes said, when he was having a tough time, which we all do, he would sit for hours alone and just listen to the silence until he heard it speak. He would look into the darkness, probably behind his closed eyes, I don't know, until he saw the light, something bigger, something greater. So if we're really worried about what's going on in the heart, we'd be silent. Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese sage, said all things are possible to those who can perfectly practice in action. Who's good at that? I don't know. That's a hard one. In action, just sitting and being with yourself. It's kind of like what we say, be still and know that I am God. So I think today what I want to do, and I've invited a friend to help today, the beautiful, she leads our healing ministry. We're all farmers all the time. And no matter what we're doing, whether we're conscious or unconscious, we are sowing seeds out into the world. It can be seeds of beauty and joy and goodness and connection or not. Because Ernest Holmes, the first page of his Science of Mind textbook, he says, there is a seed of freedom planted within everyone. It has to be there. A seed of freedom that we get to choose. We choose what we plant, what we grow, what we put out there. But we have to discover that for ourselves, that the choosing is up to us, that we have that choice. So we're going to talk today, right now, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Tammy, I'd love for you to lead us in a healing heart meditation today so we can leave here today ready to feel alive, alert, ready to grow and become and connect. Would you be willing to do that? Come on up. you could come tomorrow, but nobody would be here.
Good morning. Okay, let's close our eyes and take some deep breaths. And notice the powerful, sparkling red energy from the fertile soil of Mother Earth come up through the soles of your feet and the base of your spine. And feel it warming your entire body. Now gently look up to see and feel a shimmering white, crystalline light pouring over you and through you. As you allow it to touch your soul, you know that this is no ordinary light. Feel stress and tensions, new and old, fall away from your being as your mental body lifts with peace. Take another deep breath as you move your attention to that place in your heart where seeds of tears are sown, where grief resides, new and old. Spend a moment embracing it for the love it represents, or perhaps lessons you have learned. And now as you exhale, release these energies, these seeds, as no longer serving you or others or the situation. Know that energies not released here and now will be released in a timely manner when you are ready. Once again, look up and see and feel divine love pouring over you and nurturing you, soothing and healing those areas just cleared. In gratitude, feel your heart smile again. Feel this smile expand beyond your being and to those around you in this room. Know the energy of divine love has no boundaries and creates our oneness with God and each other. And in our oneness, we live in great gratitude for peace, love, and the ability to dream. And so it is.
Thank you, Tammy. Beautiful. The future is in our hands. And as Tammy said so beautifully, it's now we've opened our hearts, we've cleared the pathway, that we can decide who and what we want to become. I'll close with a couple of questions. Just again, looking last night, there was a place in the book called Returning to Silence. And as Tammy just led us in that beautiful healing heart meditation in silence, we're invited to ask these questions. What am I to learn? What am I here to give? What am I here to heal? How do I want to be remembered? What do I want people to say about me? How do I want to show up in the world? Am I in alignment with love and value? Am I in alignment with who I intend to be in this world? Am I giving myself enough situations to expand? And the answer is yes, you are, I am, we are. So just repeat after me. I'm alive. I'm alert. I'm enthusiastic. I feel good. I look good. I am good. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to sprout. I am ready to become. the next best version of myself. I know you are, I know we are.